Everybody. Welcome to Rock Your Purpose Book Club. We're going through the yellow and blue chapters of the 4 color personalities of network marketing, and I'm really excited to kick off this book. I think it's going to be a huge book for our team and just for all of you as you continue to grow, because it's really super important to learn how to communicate with each other based on our personalities, but also to communicate with the people that we hope to have join us in this business, or even just with the products. We just want to make sure that we're communicating the right language for people so that we can connect with them in the way that they understand things. I really liked the intro of this book because, for one, he did talk about how it's a way to talk to our prospects and to our teams in a way that they'll understand, but he kind of related it to speaking a foreign language. So think about if you go to, what was his example? I don't even remember. I just reread it today too, and I don't even remember. If you go to a different country and you're telling them all about all these different things, but they don't understand a word that you're saying, none of what you're saying matters. So even if you're telling somebody like a prospect all the great things about the business plan, all the great things about how we're compensated, the trips they can win, all the ingredients and how everything is backed by science, if you're telling them all these things, but you're not speaking it in a way that they'll understand it or speaking it in their language, then it doesn't matter what you're saying or how good you're saying it or anything, because they're going to say, like, what are you even talking about? So I really like that it breaks it down into 4 different colors. We're going to go through 2 of them today, yellow being the first one. And so let's get started with that. So the yellows are the people that are the helpers. If you talk to anybody that's a yellow in terms of how the products are going to help them, how even if you're having people start to share about the business, if you're talking to them about how the business opportunity could help somebody, using the word help or caring, that's going to appeal to somebody that's a yellow. So the yellows will do more for other people than they will do for themselves. These are the people that will be kind of the behind the scenes leaders, is how he describes it. So the ones at the banquet, right, that are making sure the temperature is right, making sure everybody has a chair, making sure that the person sitting alone at the table has somebody to sit with. They're going to go sit with that person rather than being the ones necessarily leading at the front. These people aren't necessarily interested in the compensation plan, and he says that they're the types of people that if the company says tomorrow, hey, we're going to cut the compensation plan in half, and everybody's just getting half of what they'll be like, well, that's great. The other half must be going to help people, and they're totally fine with that because they're more interested in making sure that people are taken care of rather than making sure that they're compensated well for the work that they're putting in. The examples of people that are famous that are yellows are like Mother Teresa and Gandhi. These are the people that lead more by example rather than by, you know, being like a boss or like leading from the front. Like I said, these people are living in acts of service. They live to serve others. They set examples, and that is how other people follow them, is because they're leading and serving rather than leading and telling. They're laid back and mellow. They tend to say yes to everything and are the first to volunteer. So I know that there have been a couple times when, like, I would consider myself mostly a yellow. I'm still trying to actually figure that out. A whole year and a half into this, I feel like I have a couple of the other personalities as I'm growing as a leader. I really definitely started as a yellow where I just wanted to help everybody. That was my main thing, but I'm still the type that if somebody's like, hey, we need help with this, I'm like, okay, I'll volunteer. You know, I'm always willing to step up and help if I need to. And so that's me, and that's a yellow too, a personality that always wants to be the one to help, that steps in to volunteer. They're more likely to say yes, and they would rather say yes than explain why they would say no. So they just go for it. Even if they don't necessarily want to do something, they feel more comfortable with saying yes to somebody than telling somebody why they would say no. So like I said, their primary motivation is to help. They just want everybody to be happy. They want to avoid conflict. Really good at relationships. Some of the negative things that can be found in yellows is more of an indecisive nature. They're not very good at making decisions. So yeah, we're all raising our hands over here, right? They're the people that if everybody's like, where do you want to go to lunch? They all say, I don't know, where do you want to go? I'll go where you want to go. And so in this book, he says all the yellows would starve if they were all deciding where to go to eat, because nobody would be able to decide. They don't force their opinions on other people. They're sometimes wishy-washy, and that's not necessarily for every single yellow, but they tend to be a little more hesitant to make a final decision. They really don't tend to complain very much, which is really cool. We like the yellows that don't complain, right? But that's really nice. They don't have an ego to worry about. So yeah, lots of just, these are the huggers, the ones that want to give you a big hug and you want to hug them back because they're just super sweet. Let me see if I'm missing anything. Oh, he gave a really good example of how to invite a yellow to a meeting. And he said, if this sounds like something that makes you want to barf, that just probably means you're not a yellow. So I'm going to read a couple of the examples. He says, if you're trying to invite them to some kind of meeting, he says, tell them, we really need your help. Our products can help people with X, Y, and Z. So like our skincare can help make somebody feel more confident. Our products can help somebody get off of their medications. We really need your help. Think of all the pollution we could save by working from home rather than from driving everywhere. Will you please be my guest? It'll really help me win the ribbon of happiness. And so always like reaching out to people in a way to tell them that if they do something for you, it's going to help somebody else. That's going to appeal to the yellow. So if any of that made you want to barf, you're probably not a yellow personality. But I know that that sounds a lot like me. And he says too, you could also say, hey, and bring some refreshments. And they'd be like, okay, whatever you need. I'll bring refreshments and I'll come out of my way 30 minutes and anything to make you happy, right? So that's the yellow. Appeal to them by saying help, or you want to care for people. I know I have somebody on my team that was really hesitant about sharing the business, and her testimony is incredible. And the way that I appeal to her, and because I want everybody to be on these products, right, is I said, your testimony could help so many people. And she said, okay. And that is what consistently gets her sharing, is because she just wants everyone to feel as good as she does. So that is a yellow. That is how you appeal to a yellow to share. That's how you appeal to them to start on the products, by saying the word help. So that was kind of quick, but I know we're going to have lots to talk about. So I'll let Elizabeth take over now.
Well, since blue is next, of course we're going to have a lot to talk about, right? So the blue personality is someone that likes to have fun. They like to talk. They like to be the light of the party. If you want to invite them to the banquet, you're going to tell them, hey, there's going to be a lot of people there. And the blue personality is like, all right, that's a lot of people to talk to and get to know and meet. And it's just very true. So really loving to have fun, adventure, traveling, trying new things, and definitely a very people-oriented person. So I like that he says, blues are really natural-born network marketers. They're perfect for this. They're promoters, and they, you can spot a blue from a mile away. So if you get into an elevator, the blue personality is the one saying, hi, how's your day? How was lunch? What's the weather like outside? All just starting up the conversation with complete strangers. In the grocery store, you can totally tell the people, the blue personality is like, oh, your kids are so cute, and da-da-da-da-da, where like a red personality is like, excuse me, let me through. So definitely you can pick up on these things as you're going about your day and through things. So there's a Jennifer Leith video that she did on the 4 color personalities, and I'll actually put the link in the comments of the recording for this, because she does go through it again concisely to all 4 color personalities. And so I'll just cover what she says about the yellow and blue. So yellow personalities, if the company is trying to sell Cheerios they're going to appeal to the yellows by, this will help your child be healthy and help them get the nutrients that they need, and they will stay healthy, and get them enough fiber, and it's low in sugar, and this is good for them. And so then the yellow personality mom is running out and buying Cheerios. And then to appeal to like a blue personality, they're going to show a family playing in the park and like throwing Cheerios up in the air and catching them in their mouths and just laughing and just having this grand old time with their bowls of Cheerios, right? And so then the blue personality is like, oh, I need some Cheerios so that we can have fun as a family. So kind of a silly demonstration right there, but it just shows kind of the differences in the personality types. Blue personalities, what he says is that they never stop talking and they don't listen. So I tend to be a very blue personality, but I definitely am a listener too. But I like to get my story out. I like to get my details out. I like to share those things. I like to share past experiences for sure, but I definitely as a physical therapist, as a mom, as a wife, have learned to listen too, you know. But definitely you can spot a blue because they're they're answering their own questions. You can't get a word in edgewise. Definitely telling a lot of details to the whole story. I mean, how many times has my husband just been like, can you just tell me what I need to know? Like, I don't need to know about your whole day. Just tell me what I need to know. Definitely. So let's see, I'm just referring to some of this. They finish each other. They finish your sentences. They finish your paragraphs. They're not paying attention. They're thinking about what they're going to say next before you've even finished talking. So they're only listening to half of what you're saying. These are things that he says. So what's great is that when a blue can balance out like a yellow, or a blue can balance out a red, for instance. So it's definitely all about balance, you know what I mean? And his examples, like, I'm kind of like, I do listen, you know, but this is just the general gist of it. He's kind of dramatic about making these points because he wants to make the point. He talks about how there's a couple, and so Michael's out there, he's talking to people, he's bringing people into the business, and his wife is a yellow, and so she's like following up with them, and she's keeping them on their products, and she's the one sending them their little notes in the mail, and but it works because she likes to help and he likes to just be out and doing the things. So the biggest struggle with network marketing for a blue would be following up, would be getting kind of that organization down, and for doing the following up part of it. And I actually personally love following up myself, but I can see why a blue personality would have trouble with that follow through. And he does say in here, and I'm probably not going to find it exactly, but he says, you know, this place is boring. I don't want to work here anymore. I need a new adventure. I don't want to be stuck behind a desk every day. And I have found that where I am like at work and I'm like, okay, you know, this place just isn't the same anymore. It's not as much fun to work here. I've caught myself saying that in so many words, and it's more making the most out of it. So what I do like about my particular job as a physical therapist and with Plexus is that there's always new people. There's always a new floor for me to go on at the hospital. I can vary where I'm working in the hospital. I'm not stuck on one floor every day. And so I do appreciate that. And then of course with Plexus, there's always new people to talk to, and there's always those things to do. And of course, what did I just say 100 times? People. There's always new people for me to talk to, right? And that is huge. When I was really young, my mom had set me up to see an open heart surgery. So this was years and years ago. I'm sure that this wouldn't happen these days, but I was like, wow, this whole surgery is super duper cool. And I realized the doctor's not talking to anybody. And I'm like, that is so boring. I'm like, I could not do that. And that actually helped me make the decision to go into physical therapy. That was one of the things that did lead me in that direction. So, yeah, so really appealing to blues. Like, hey, it would be really fun to go to Vegas with you. It would really be really fun to do this sip and see with you. It would be really fun to be able to travel with you to Leaders Retreat. Did you see this cruise that I went on? I've started asking people like, hey, how do you feel about Vegas? Like, oh, I love Vegas. I'm like, well, hey, come on, let's go. And that's why varying what we're posting on our Facebook walls is super important too. So when we're posting about, hey, these products help people. Hey, look at this really cool trip that I just earned. Hey, I get to be on the stage. That's going to appeal to the blue personality. The gala masquerade masks, you know, hey, look at this fun party. This is super awesome. That's all going to appeal to those blues. And then varying it to look at how many people I'm helping and look at how many people have been helped with these products and opportunity, you're appealing to those yellows. So I did not recognize, I guess I should have looked them up, but I wasn't super familiar with some of the people that he referred to as the famous blue personalities. I do remember Mel Gibson from Lethal Weapon, but I haven't watched that since I was a kid. So, but I do remember some of that. And blues definitely like to do things. They like to be active. They like to, you know, be talking to people, not just sitting around waiting for a decision to be made. They want to be part of the decision making. They want to be part of what is going on. They definitely are good at taking action and moving forward. And he does give some pretty funny, like, cartoon character references, like Goofy, all about living in the moment, no planning, having fun, always happy. You know, Homer Simpson, definitely a blue, didn't think things out, doesn't plan. Now, those two examples for me personally are not true. I definitely still have very much of a planning side. But if you see people that have trouble with that follow through and trouble with the planning, then you can kind of lend that to their blue side of things. And then you have Snoopy and Charlie Brown and Dory in Finding Nemo, the fish. She's a doll, you know, she can just tell she's this really fun little fish and just wants to have fun even without her memory deficits, but you can tell that she's definitely out there to have fun. And then we have Ernie on Sesame Street. I did always like Ernie. I liked him much better than Bert. Bert was kind of boring. And then you have Cookie Monster. So kind of funny, kind of some funny examples, but it makes the point. And yeah, so really getting blues into leadership roles, they're comfortable making a decision. They don't necessarily need to have 6 people in a 12-hour conversation around it. You know, they're definitely a little more comfortable moving forward and taking that action. And yes, so using words like interesting, fun, awesome, traveling, exciting, new, excellent. These are things that will appeal to a blue. And then he likes to say, and then notice how they're not listening to you. But I don't know that that's always true. So anyway, what I did want to just finish up with is that these are guidelines. You know, we all have all of the color personalities. Like if I'm home parenting 4 kids and getting dinner ready and trying to get ready for book club, then I am still going to put music on and like dance with them and have fun. But I quickly can shift over to like, okay, guys, this is our time frame. I'm setting a timer. This is what's happening. And I don't just stay in this, or my kids would all be sitting here with me right now, you know? So situationally, I believe we all kind of lend to different personalities. At work, I sometimes have to I can't be blue all the time at work. Because then I would never get anything done, right? And so like while I'm going through my day, I like to talk and invite people into like, hey, what's going on with your life? But then moving forward and still getting my work done. So those are my thoughts for that. We all have each of the color personalities. And the biggest thing with this book is learning about other people quickly, identifying with others very quickly so that we can talk to them in the way that they're going to receive what we're saying. And then to learn more about ourselves and so that we can also adapt to be a better ambassador of these products and this opportunity. So as a side note, something that I'm definitely getting through a little bit at a time is an Enneagram study, and that definitely is more related to yourself, like you're learning more about yourself. The danger with an Enneagram, which is different from this color personality book, is that the Enneagrams are meant to identify ourselves and to better ourselves, not say, well, you're a 1, so you're a this, and this. That's not what that is designed for. And that's talked about in the intro of the book that I'm reading for that. So definitely with this is meant to be, lighthearted, fun, an effective way of learning more about other people and about ourselves and learning how to communicate with one another. So if you flip side with the Enneagrams, just be careful with how you're using that tool, because that definitely is more to do a self-study and to, learn more about yourself so that you can better where you're at and how you communicate and how you perceive things and stuff like that. So anyway, that's what I had planned. Does anyone have any thoughts? We'd love to hear, since we are in a smaller group, what you think your color personality is and how you think that helps you with this business or sharing or with your relationships. You can unmute and just go ahead.
Okay, I can't sit here any longer because I do have so much blue in me. But listen, you guys, I'm reading this book and I'm like, man, there is a lot of yellow in me though too, because I'm just looking at some of these things and it's like, you just want to help people. And just the part about the indecisiveness, I'm like, oh my gosh, that is so me, which is why I need people to help me make decisions. Like, this is why I ask you guys for your help sometimes, right? But I definitely am a lot of blue. I am very, like Monday nights and Thursday nights, I'm super, like I can't go to bed because I am like so excited about being on these calls with all my friends. And then I'm just like, okay, I can't go to sleep now. That was just so much excitement. So definitely blue and yellow for me. And what are you?
I'm red and green, strong red, green. But I'd like to say to all of you that the key to, and I think Elizabeth probably or Lauren touched on this in the beginning, but the beauty of this book as a coach, as somebody who's been doing this for 20, good gracious now, how many years is it? 23, 24 years now. Something that I like about this book is that it's the realization that, and Elizabeth did talk about this, at any point in time, you're going to be any one of these personalities that you're going to learn this book. The situation brings out certain personalities, but you all have one dominant personality that kind of prevails throughout the day. And it's no joke or no irony here as we sit here. John Maxwell talks about the law of magnetism, and it basically states that you attract who you are. And so it's no surprise that as we sit here and we look at who's on the call and who's on the team as a general rule, there's a lot of yellow and blue represented on this team, and that's not a surprise. Because Rochelle's is a naturally, I say she's a yellow, blue, yellow, depending on the day. But and so that's what she's attracted. So as you go through this book, you're going to think in the back of your head, this is what I am. But realistically, what you should be asking yourself is, okay, this is what I am, but how do I develop the personality traits of a red? If Reds have their advantages when it comes to business, for instance. Yellows have their advantage when it comes to attracting people because of their compassionate nature. Blues are very social. They attract large groups of people, and they may not be the strongest at, say, retention, because they're just out constantly meeting people. They're on to the next shindig. Who can I talk to over here? Who can I talk to over here? Whereas like a yellow is all about the follow-up. They're all about, let me hug on you, let me love on you, let me make sure your products are working. And what do you mean you're not, you're not enjoying them? Oh, well, that's too bad. How can I help you? So as you go through this, ask yourself like, okay, what am I? But then more importantly, how do I develop these other skill sets? Because that's what's going to help you become what we call the master recruiter. You're going to have the ability to connect with every single personality. There's not going to be a stranger. You're never going to meet a stranger. I don't know strangers very quickly. And again, I love it that in both chapters, the first 2 chapters here, he said something very key that each one of you should write down and put in the forefront of your mind. And that is, you got to listen. Less talking, more listening. I know it's hard for the blues. Less talking, more listening when you're meeting people, because they will give away just through the conversation their dominant characteristic, their dominant personality. So, just being that active listener, listen to what they have to say, pick up on those keywords. He's throwing some good keywords out there in the book. I love this book. Again, very straightforward, but just listen to it. When I first read this book, I thought it was very simplified. As somebody who studied cognitive, behaviors and, all that good jazz, I thought it was really simplified, but then I see the beauty of it. So I'm really excited y'all are doing this book, that we are doing this book, and being able to add to this. So the red, I'm not blue, but I'm talking a lot. So the red's going to be quiet now.
The red can do some talking over here. It reminds me of that. Did y'all see that meme that was going around? I don't think it went around too much, more maybe just in private chats, but it was like Elf at Christmas time. Mm-hmm. And it was like the reds were telling the blues what to do. And the red was like that black guy, the manager at the toy shop. And he's like, make work your new favorite. Okay, make work your new favorite. He's like, but I like to smile. It's like the red trying to get the blue to work.
Well, they pair up nicely. So the red, you usually see a yellow-blue personality. Mm-hmm. Those two go hand in hand. You usually see a red-green. So if you remember the gentleman you're talking about, the black guy, he had a clipboard in his hand. He was all about the checklist, and he was all about getting it done, right? So you tend to see those pairings. They're very common as you go through this. Doesn't mean you'll see it deviate, but or you won't see it deviate, but you do typically see that. So if you have a red, the chance are their secondary personality is probably going to be a green, or it'll be somewhere up there, which is good. They're kind of polarized. So a red and a blue are kind of, if you think about them on a spectrum, the red and the blue are kind of polar opposites, and the green and the yellow are kind of polar opposites. I thought it was or no, all the way around. I said that backwards. The yellow and the red, and the blue and the green.
Yes.
Excuse me. Yeah, because did I say that right?
Yeah, the yellow and the red.
Yeah. I had to think about that one for a minute. But yeah, so I mean, that's good. These are all good things to know. Again, what's the purpose of this? Understand yourself and understand your who you're trying to connect with. He says it in this book. I've used this example many, many times in many, many companies that I've gone into to help. And it's the mentality is this: doesn't matter what you have. Doesn't matter if you have the secret sauce to the directions to the fountain of youth, whatever it is, doesn't matter what you have. If you can't speak a language they can understand, it's for nothing. So this is all about learning to speak the language so that you can tell them what you have to offer, to show them the opportunity that's in front of them, connect with them in a meaningful way, and then let the rest, watch the magic work. You can get them motivated to do just about anything once you understand how to connect with them. Mm-hmm. And that's not in a manipulative way. That's in an honest, caring, connecting way.
Right. Yeah, it really doesn't matter what we are. I mean, it's interesting to know, what is my own color personality, but it really is about how to connect with other people. Yeah. If I am a blue and I'm talking to a green, it's not going to be like, hey girl, let's go to Vegas. We're going to be on stage together, do disco. They're going to be like, where is all the scientific data? Okay. I need to see all the things. And I'm going to be over here like, Matt, get me some scientific. No, I'm just kidding. Yep. But you got to know how to speak that language to people. And I will say that I forget the statistics. Elizabeth, do you remember? It's like, I don't know. Like I forget high. It's like 90% or something of the world is like yellow or something. Yeah. And another thing that I was going to mention, I'm not trying to do too much talking here as a blue, but I remember Lori Welch and Fallon. So Lori Welch, our diamond upline above Fallon, is a yellow, and Fallon is a red. And so the first time that Lori reached out to Fallon, she was very yellow in her approach. Hey, you can just help so many people and all these things. And I don't know exactly what she said, but whatever. It was yellow, right? And Fallon, not that she doesn't want to help people, because she clearly does like to help people, but she was trying to help her own self. She couldn't even afford chicken and butter and Christmas presents, and she's over here like, I don't care about helping people right now, And so when Lori followed back up with her, so Lori watched her and she's looking at her Facebook page and she's seeing that this girl is on, online selling diva cups, and like she's trying to make money any way she can. She's like, okay, I need to try a different approach. And so then she went to her with the red and like, hey, do you realize how much money you can make with Plexus? This can really bless your family. And when Fallon saw those numbers, she was like, oh my gosh, are you serious? And that was what got her. So you do have to speak the language. If Lori just only talked to her in the yellow language and then never followed up, I mean, imagine where none of us would be. We wouldn't be here without Fallon and Lori, So you have to, if you're reaching, and that is just another good point. If you are reaching out to people and they're not jumping on it and you're like, I just don't know what I'm doing wrong or whatever, look at how you're reaching out to people. What is their color personality? Are you talking their language? It might not be that you're saying anything wrong, but you do need to talk their language. Yeah. You may need to re-follow up with a different color.
And if you have difficulty connecting, because everybody's being quiet still, if you have difficulty connecting, like hunt down, like you should have a Rolodex of people for each of these dominant personalities. So know who your reds are, know who your yellows are, know who your greens are. Rochelle knows if she needs help making a very pointed decision on something, she knows that she's got a red that, is a live-in. So she can, she can ask me and she knows, hey, look, I need you to be a red. I need you to tell me what the best thing to do in this situation is so I can go and do it. And, so that you just need to know who those folks are. So you can, if you're having trouble, you can reach out to them. Hey, look, I'm a yellow. Being a red just doesn't come natural to me. How do I help this red get energized around what I'm trying to present to them? And have them help you put on that red hat. Some of you have coached with me before. I do that. I will actually put on any of the color hats you need me to put on to coach you through. Like, so you're prospecting to me or you're sharing with me and you need me to be a red. I can be a red. I can be a blue. I can be a yellow. And that's what you want. You want to have people that you can lean towards that will help you so that you can refine and get to a place where, okay, when I'm ready to talk to that red for real, I kind of know how the conversation's going to go. So I kind of know, okay, what are their objections going to be? Where's it going to get away from me at? Where are they going to, what am I going to say that is going to excite them and ignite them? And what am I going to say that's going to shut them down? Don't tell me about the party in Vegas. That's not my scene, so to speak. I'm there with Rochelle. But, that's not for me. But if you start talking about leading big teams and, being able to develop leaders, like that excites me as a red. Ooh, it's not even so much a yellow. Developing leaders is a red tendency. That excites a red. So money.
Taylor's agreeing with you, see. She's a red-green.
Yep. So Taylor gets that. And the green, like you can talk to me all day about that. And as a red, I'm going to get excited. I'm going to get ready to start taking action. But you better believe the green skeptic side of me is going to go, okay, well, let me look a little bit more about this company. What are they about? What's their business model? What's their CEO do? The green side of me is going to do that. So it's just understanding. And I love it. Some of the best people in this company were people who turned from the skeptic to the believer and ran with it. So just know who those people are you can connect with to play the role so that you can already kind of see how it's going to look and learn to kind of refine that skill set. And before you know it, you'll be talking like a red. You won't have to, just pretend you put on the red hat every time you need to talk to another red.
Yeah, talking to Matt and Fallon, I definitely have learned some red. And the green, I think I'm just too busy with 7 kids and homeschooling. I don't have time to be any kind of green. I'm like, honey, could you look this up for me? Like, I need you to research this for me. I used to like to research, but I don't know. So, but yeah, I agree, Lauren and Taylor. If you guys are yellow, blue, and red, green, like that is like really good. You guys make a good team. This is us right here. This is why we make such a good team. And yes, he can do some talking because we will do some rabbit trailing when we're talking. But for the most part, he's like, all right, honey, stay on track, So
that's right.
Elizabeth and I, just to forget it, when we were on the phone, there's just no telling we're on the phone for 4 hours.
Oh my gosh.
Still don't finish our conversation.
There's
we get so much done. We talk, we get our laundry folded, the dishes are done. We've gone for a walk with the kids. We've talked about the whole month of planning, as well as last month and today. Like, we get a lot done. It just goes like this.
Exactly. But we totally follow each other.
Oh yeah.
You're squirrels together, right? You're squirrels.
I was gonna say too, like, I've tried really hard. Like, I mean, working with patients, I always want to make it about them. And so since reading this book the first time and different things, I've tried really, really hard to like really make therapy about them. Like, when I'm with them, like, tell me about you, tell me about you, tell me about you. And I just had a patient last week, and she wanted to concentrate on breathing while she was walking. She goes, well, I'm not going to talk while I'm walking, so tell me about you. And I was like, I don't know what to say. I kind of was like, I'm not used to talking about myself with patients anymore. You know, like, I'll mention my kids or something like that, but for the most part, I let them lead the conversation, or I lead them to talk more. And so I was kind of like, well, I have 4 kids, and I was, you know, it took me a minute to kind of tell her a couple of things, which normally isn't a problem, you know, but I think I've just really tried hard to change how I talk with patients and stuff like that. So it was kind of funny to notice that about myself.
That's a great point. You know, you should be prepared to fill that quiet space with anybody you talk to with, you know, talk about yourself, but be prepared to talk through. And what you're trying to do is find out what excites them. You know, so as you're talking to them about you, you can still be watching their facial expressions and body language. And when you say something like, you know, I just love, you know, my kids, I love helping people, you know, we're really passionate about doing these ministries, and you watch them perk up, even though they didn't say a whole bunch to you, you can read the nonverbal cues and go, okay, this is somebody who might be a yellow personality. You know, and as a physical therapist, you know, that's huge to know, because again, it's all about motivation, right? So, you know, how do you motivate them to get through the modalities or whatever it is that you're working with them through? You know, it's the same principles. You know, gotta know how to connect the dots for them, get them motivated.
Yeah.
There's obviously not a lot of blues on the call. Everybody's so quiet. I told Rochelle what she should have done, I don't know, did you do what I said?
I didn't.
See?
It's been so busy, I forgot. I need
said
to do
what
it
she
now.
should have done, what she should have sent out, the chart, you know, that breaks down, you know, the real brief description of each color, and then have you wear, so each one of you came on here tonight, where when you picked up this book and you read the general description, in your mind you were already probably thinking, this is what color I am. And so the goal was, have you wear a shirt or something tonight that kind of defined what color you think you are. And then as we go through this book, see if it changes, because that is the fun part about this, is some people have been told this is what you are. You know, they get it, you know, their upline says, oh, you're this, you're definitely this. What do you mean? Why is there any doubt? This is what you are. And then they just think that's what they are. And they can't figure out why they're fighting the box, so to speak. They've been put in a box and they're fighting this blue box or this red box. And they're like, this just doesn't work for me. I mean, I know I'm supposed to like people and want to keep talking, but I'm more interested in going over here and researching the ingredients in the company, you know? And so as in the beginning, usually people will wear the same, you know, whatever they've been told they are. And then by the end of the book, they're going, oh no, that's not me. I'm definitely this instead. And so it's really cool, because that's the transformation process of this book, is for yourself. And then again, if you don't know who you are, how are you going to communicate with anybody else? How are you going to, I mean, that's kind of basic 101 for leadership. You got to know yourself first before you can really start to make the connection with everybody else around you.
Yeah, Fallon told me I was a blue from day one. And I'm like, I'm a blue? Oh. I mean, I like to talk to people, and I love people, and I always have loved people. And she's my cousin, so she's watched me grow up, and she saw me be the homecoming queen and like all these things. So she's just like, oh, you're a blue. But when I read the book, I'm like, I have a lot of yellow in me. So it's definitely, those are my 2 dominant colors. And I'm just not going to sit here and try to figure out which one is more dominant. I'm just both of them. So I'm a yellow, blue, red with like 0 green.
I do not care about ingredients. Now, I don't know about that. I'm going to go ahead and call that one out, Lauren, because I know you spend some time in your back office and you're looking at numbers and you're making sure that things are lining up with your team. And so I think there's some green in
That's some
there.
of the red too. That's organization.
Yeah.
Okay, I am dying about your comment, Lauren, because we just had in a three-way chat, I had a person ask Lauren and I the ingredients. I'm like, why does she care about the ingredients? She's over there drinking a Coke.
Yeah. That's when you say, I don't know, but what about that Coke you're drinking? What ingredients in that? Can you even pronounce them?
The labels? Like, I don't know. Oh my gosh. I love it.
Not that they listen.
I'm very red. So this call has been going like very, very red, followed by green. I can still be very social. Like, it's funny because I think, Elizabeth, you were giving examples of the elevator. And I will chat anyone I see in an elevator or on no problem. Show me what I can do to earn the money and what I can do to lead a team. And that's where like my strengths are. It's kind of like, it's good to know your weaknesses, but it's even better to capitalize on your strengths.
Play to your strengths.
Kind of like, yeah, like that. If that is what you can offer others, like, I just feel like you can make a bigger impact by focusing on your strengths. Like, of course, always improving your weaknesses, but just focusing on your strengths, you can make a larger impact.
Mm-hmm.
Well said. Well said. Play to your strengths. Doesn't mean we ignore the weakness. I don't even call them weaknesses. I call them opportunities. But, just, play to your strengths, definitely. So that's why it's good to, again, first and foremost, know yourself so you know your strengths. And then as you go through this long enough, by necessity, you will start to develop some of the other personality traits. If you hang out with blues long enough, you'll start to look like a blue. I'm just going to say that.
Right.
You're talking to a guy who doesn't dance and doesn't do silent discos, but had you seen me on a cruise ship not too long ago.
He's like, are we going to the silent disco again tonight? Yes, let's go. Elizabeth's waiting for me.
Oh my gosh. So, I mean, if you hang out long enough, you will develop the skill sets and the ability to kind of take off your red hat and put on your blue hat for a little bit, so to speak.
Well, just like red is not natural for me, but I can put my red hat on. Like when the kids are just all over the dang house, there's stuff everywhere. You're like, oh my gosh, like the first sergeant's wife comes out, get down here, get this stuff clean. Like you know what you need to do. Or like if I'm organizing, we just did a big birthday party. Like I know what I need to do. Okay, I need to go to the store. I need to do this. Like I got my list out. Like I'm like, boom, boom, boom. We are like doing this. No, we do not have time for that right now. We're doing this right now. No, we're not doing that. Like you just, the red will come out at times, but that's not like my natural tendency is to be red, Yeah. So.
And it's fun too. You can use this, this is, we keep talking about from a business perspective, but this is great. You can start to look at your children, your spouses, your coworkers, you can, anybody. It's great. I mean, I've learned to take this way beyond just the business arena. And, we talk about this with our kids all the time. Like we can already see who our reds are, who our blues are. Like we're already going.
We analyzed them all. Cameron is just like me, yellow, blue. Carly's red like her daddy and blue. And then we see little Aiden. He is such a little red.
Oh my gosh, he's a red.
Marcus is a red, green, blue, and not much yellow.
Yeah, that's. I mean
that very lovingly, by the way. I really do.
Marcus definitely seems red-green because I told you he seems a lot like Matt. And then
Lauren, I think that Marcus and I are more alike.
Maybe that's why you and I connect too, Taylor.
I need the yellow of all of you to rub off on me.
What'd you say?
They will. They will. Surround yourself with them. Find yellows and hang out with them for a little bit. They'll get you out to Habitat for Humanity. You'll be hugging people at church that
you'll be hugging trees in no time.
I'm telling you what, it's amazing.
Nicole, just hang out with Nicole. She'll have you hugging trees in no time.
You will. You will.
And they won't go hungry because Taylor will have them eating.
Nicole, you are the yellowest person I think I've met.
She's always been that way. She's so sweet.
Yeah. That's so funny. Vacation Marcus is blue.
Vacation Marcus is blue.
I
We have
cannot
video
wait
and
for
pictures
Silent
to prove
Disco
it.
with Marcus again. That's gonna be fun.
Yes, we have some video footage to prove it, I think.
Oh, yeah. Vacation Marcus is my favorite version of Marcus.
Yeah.
What were you gonna say, Elizabeth? You were gonna say something.
I said if Taylor hangs out with a bunch of yellows, at least they'll all have lunch because she'll make sure that the decision is made.
See, and that's where the yellow should be going. Listen, we need to make sure we bring a red in here, or a green who's at least going to ask the questions ahead of time. Hey, these are a bunch of yellows. They're probably going to need to eat. What are my menu options? Let me have something already lined up.
That is why I gave the job to Debbie Wynn. Are you on here, Debbie? No, she left. But what, Elizabeth, remember that one convention in Vegas? She was like, what are we doing for lunch? I'm like, okay, let's order some pizzas. And like, I'm in the Plexus store. Like, I just didn't even get the pizzas ordered. And I'm like, okay, you know what? Next time Debbie is doing the lunch, like she's doing the ordering, because it's just, the yellows will starve. That's my yellow. I don't know.
Well, and then she and Jason would make plans too, because he was like, what do you want to do? I'm like, I don't care. Just figure it out. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like if I can be one less person giving an opinion, then it's less decisions that have to be made. And
You're such a yellow.
That's the yellow.
Yellow.
But if I'm with a bunch of yellows, I'm like, all right, we're going to Panera. Let's go. Like,
Like
I don't have trouble doing that. You know what I mean? But, and you said, this was really interesting because you said that like blue, yellow pairs up and then red, green. But you always say, Matt, that I'm a blue, green.
Well, now that they pair up, they're kind of, so a red and a yellow will drive each other crazy. Like if you were to think about it, so they're kind of opposite ends of the same spectrum. So where the red is just go make it happen. I don't, I'm all about let's go and make this happen. Let's get it done. Let's drive on. Even if it means I'm leaving people in my wake, I'm going to go get this done. It's going to happen. Whereas the yellow's like, well, I'm really not so much worried about the destination as I am about making sure I hug everybody along the way, which would drive a red crazy. And in much the same way, the yellow's over there going, that guy is so mean. Why is he so mean to everybody?
Yes.
So those two are kind of opposite ends of the spectrum. And then you have make sure I say this right, the blue and the green, right? Did I say that right? Yeah, blue and the green. So the blue is over here like, I love everybody. I don't care about it. I don't need to know all the details. Just let's go have fun. And this is literally the one that would have no plan on a Saturday night, just knowing they're going somewhere to meet people and have fun. That's all you need to tell them. Then you just go get in the car over there. Okay, let's go.
The green's got the GPS.
Yeah, and the green is like,
out.
I've got the GPS, I've got the route planned. I know that we can hit these clubs or these places. Not that we go clubs, but these places. And,
I've never been to a club in my life.
So, but I'm saying you can do all those. So the green's doing all that. So those two are opposite ends of the spectrum in that regard. So it's not that you'd see them paired up. That's why I think it's funny because, like if you think about it, so the red, like I'm a red green. So I'm a person who is very much so about the objective and understanding the facts and the ways in which to get there. Not that I don't love people, but that's more my focus. And so, I mean, like for Rochelle to say that she's a blue yellow is, that to me is. It's
amazing we get along so well.
It makes for some fun conversations. We get to laughing at each other. Don't take yourself too seriously.
It's really good if you can have, they say opposites attract, but we do have a lot in common too. Like we have a ton in common, but that just the dominant personalities. But I know even with Fallon, she's even said this on some of her different videos that she's made in Pink Power or whatever, and on book clubs and stuff. She'll say like she has really, as a red, she's really had to learn how to be more yellow and
Absolutely.
how to talk more like a yellow, because I know I have been like, I remember her telling me, you can't help everybody. You just can't work with everybody. You're just going to work with your runners. And I just had such a hard time understanding that. I'm like,
yes.
But these are my friends. Like, I can't just not help these people. And Matt's over here like, hello, this is business. You can't help everybody. Like, he's telling me the same thing. And I'm sitting in the kitchen, like, totally, like, bedazzled or whatever the word is, like, I don't know what you're even talking, like, this is very foreign to me, you know, but it is true what they're saying. And, you know, we do have 7 kids. And so I do have to look to see, okay, who is doing this? And I want to help, and I do want to help everybody. So if somebody asks me a question or somebody needs help, then I'm going to help them. But, you know, me reaching out to like all over 100 level 1s that I have on a daily basis is not going to happen, you know?
Yeah, but that's where it's good to know. So if you know you're a yellow, you know that your tendency is to want to help everybody. You can run yourself into the ground.
Right.
And that's where it's nice to have a strong, you know, red that can pull you back in and say, and I do this for her, pull you back in and say, listen, I know you love them all. I know you want to help everybody and you want everybody to be successful in whatever they endeavor to do. But the reality is that not everybody's ready for the race. Some of them are still over there lacing up their shoes. So I'm not telling you can't help them. What I'm telling you is that you are only one person. So you're going to have to focus on who you can help. Look, you can help everybody do just a little bit, or you can help all these people be really successful. So that's how you talk to a yellow. You just refocus that energy to want to love and hug and help everybody towards, you know, you can do so much for these people if you just, you know, give them that extra focus. And these folks over here, when they get their shoes laced up, you can love on them too. And you can help them run too. And, you know, it's just learning how to speak to them. And that's what, you know, that's what we'll do. We'll have these scenarios that will play out all the time. So find yourself, whatever you are, find yourself the opposite somewhere on your team or in a spouse and leverage it in a good way.
I think this is like where knowing what kind of personality you're talking to is a really good thing, because one of the first things I said to Lauren when I started was can be abrasive, because I'm so direct. Like, and so I told her the same thing, like, when you're giving me feedback, please do not ask me if it's okay to give me feedback. Just give me the feedback and get to the point. Like, don't beat around the bush. Don't sugarcoat it. We're good. Like, I will not take offense to any feedback you give me. Just do it, because, like, you know, being a red, like, I'm solution based. I want to get right to the solution, and I want to get there as fast as I can, so then I can work on it.
Yeah. That's Fallon and Matt. This is what they talk about all the time. And so that definitely helped me.
I love it. They're speaking my language.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Lauren's
you and Lauren make a good team then. Bye, Shantae.
Shantae said earlier she was a yellow-green.
Shantae is
and that
a yellow-green.
Is so true. So true. I've known Shantae for a while now. So definitely true. So yeah, this is a fun book. It's a quick book. It's a fun book. Don't let it be the only book you read on the subject. If you really want to grow as a leader, you gotta know how to connect with people. What is leadership? Leadership is influence. So you want to know how to influence people, you got to speak a language they know. So get ready to learn some new languages for some of you.
So Matt, real quick, I can talk now. There's not saws going off in the background. Well, now there is. Anyway, so I have taken like 6 versions of the test, different whatever, and I am literally always 33, 33, 33, yellow, green, blue, and this much red, like whatever that leaves, 1%. And I get it, because I do super care for people, but I'm also super green, anal, organized. Like, I will not call myself OCD, because I'm not like over the top.
Right.
But then I also really like to have fun. I love friends and I love parties. So I don't know, but the red, I mean, I get it. Keith is red. I married a red. So red. So red with like a smidge of green over here.
There you go.
Because he's very, very organized, even more so than I even am. But I have a hard time connecting to red people. I don't know if it's a hard time connecting to them as much as it is talking to them. I don't know. I'm still trying to learn how to talk to them in a red manner.
Oh, don't worry. Matt will get on the phone with you, and he'll tell you all kinds of things.
Well, I can share real quick. We have a couple minutes. And it's important that you all know this. This is a great technique. So here's what I tell folks that I coach with, leaders that I've helped develop. I tell them this right here. If you know that being a red, in this case, we'll use your scenario. If you know that being a red is not your strength, but you need to connect with the red, first things first is acknowledge that that's not your strength area. Write down, what are the red qualities? I'm going to be talking to a red. So what do I already know? These are the things I can expect to see or hear through the context of a conversation with them, right? And then these are the things I know that I can say that will equip or will energize them. And these are things I know that I can do or say that are going to depolarize the conversation, right? Which is what we don't want to do. And just kind of jot those things down. What you're trying to do is you're trying to get yourself to think through the conversation before the conversation ever occurs. And then once you've done that, find yourself a red and have them play the role of the red in the conversation, right? So give them some context. Hey, listen, I'm getting ready to talk to Jane, and Jane is a red, and I'm not a red, and that's not my strength, but I know Jane is going to really benefit from this business, but I just can't seem to connect the dots. So I'm going to get on the phone with her, and I'm going to be talking to Jane about the business. Right now, her biggest thing is she doesn't have time to go try to, help a bunch of people lose weight. That's just not her thing. She doesn't want to hear about that right now. Okay, well, now I got some context for Jane. So when I play the role of Jane, then I'm going to go through that. As you start talking, I'm going to say, yeah, but you know what? I hear you, Nicole, but I just do not have time to do that right now. I cannot do something else right now from a business perspective to help all these people that all need help, because everybody needs my time. And quite frankly, my time is important. What I'm doing right now is important. And so I can't do that right now. So how do you connect the dots?
Mm-hmm.
Well, you got to speak their language.
So what would you say, Nicole? Think about what you would say now.
Are you going to play this out on? Ooh,
we should.
All right, so there you go.
On the spot. I mean, I guess I would turn it around to, like Fallon was saying about, but don't you need the money? Like, if that's what's going to motivate them, money over time or money equal to their time, I guess that would be the route I would have to take. I'd have to really think that out, though, because that's not my nature.
Yeah. But you just did. So let's play that. So then I would say something like, well, you know what? Though money's not a problem right now. I'm doing okay with money. I really love what I'm doing at work. I love the team that I'm leading at work. These are people that really are the same focus as I am. I mean, it's not about the money. I love what I do and where I'm at right now. And I love the people I'm with. And, I love the awesome leadership dynamic at play over there. Then what do you do? I'm throwing red language at you.
Yes, you are. And I'm like, what?
So I just told you
what you're saying.
You appealed the money. You appealed the money, and money wasn't it.
Right.
So what are some other things that motivate a red? Money's a great place to start, by the way. But,
right.
But so that
leadership is obviously another one. Like take charge, big girl panty kind of thing. So but again,
it's okay.
That's a very new place for me. That's not my natural focus. So it's hard for me to come up with. Yep. What do I say?
Normally what you would want to do, and this is good because normally you'd have more time to write this down.
Right.
So, and think through these scenarios a little bit. But so normally what you do here, so yeah, you picked up on the leadership thing. So you could talk about, I hear you. And yeah, so it's not always about the money. I'll tell you, it is really neat to see the leadership and the growth and watch both myself, how much I've grown through this, but to watch how I've developed as a leader. And now my team is this size. And, it's kind of neat because we all work together towards the same goal. And there's such a huge leadership culture within this organization that it's just amazing. I literally go and feel energized around these folks every single day. I love what I do. I love the people. I love that I get to lead a great team and build this team and surround myself with people who are like-minded. And all of us are striving towards big goals that some people never get to enjoy in their entire lives. We get to strive for it and achieve it on a regular basis. Oh, well, tell me more about this, Nicole. So what do you mean big goals? Like what kind of stuff? So what's the comp plan look like? What is this about goals? Like what kind of things are you doing? What's the rank structure look like for the company? How does that work?
Okay, that makes sense.
You see how that works? So there's a natural segue. You have to figure out again, it gets back to what is their motivational factor, and you've got to make that connection to whatever it is, whether it's your children. Again, we talk about it from business perspective, but this is your children. How do you influence your children? How do you influence your spouse? How do you influence people at church? How do you influence community leaders? How do you influence, people you're sharing with and prospecting? It all comes back to that. Figuring out, okay, first off, I know this is a red. You got to identify what they are. So that means you got to listen. And then once you know that, you can start to kind of just throw some feelers out there. Oh my gosh, the money's great. I mean, I was able to pay off X, Y, and Z with my last month's paycheck. It's amazing. The compensation plan is like nothing else you've ever seen. Yeah, it's, we're doing pretty good financially. We just bought a second house and, blase, blase, blase. Okay, in your mind, you're going, okay, so money's not a factor for them. Okay, so let me try a different approach. The other thing I love about this is just the leadership philosophy of this organization and the way they've set up the structure to grow in this company. As far as building your own teams, and you really are given a lot of autonomy. They support you with all the things you need to be successful as a leader. It's like a personal growth plan with a paycheck. I mean, this is just great,
Right.
and then you're just constantly you're looking at your little index card. Write it down. This is not your strength area. It's like Taylor was talking about. Doesn't mean we avoid it because it's an opportunity, but write it down because it's not your strength. And as you're talking, it's like a little checklist. Okay, that one didn't work. Ooh, they kind of perked up on that. Ooh, their facial expressions changed when I mentioned the compensation plan. It helps you know how to speak a language that they're going to connect with. Again, you've got something great here, but if you can't speak Japanese, it doesn't matter if you're going to a Japanese audience trying to sell it.
Right.
You got to learn to speak Japanese first. So in this case, just learn to speak red. And you can do it, Nicole. I promise you that you're talking to a person who was a pure 100% all red. And I got into an environment in healthcare where I was around a bunch of people who weren't reds. They were doing it because they just love people. And I'm going, we're not meeting our business metrics. You're too busy spending eight sessions worth with one patient. We're losing money because of you as a provider spending too much time. And they're going, isn't our job to take care of patients? I'm confused. And I'm going, yes, but our job is also to make money. And so I had to learn to change my philosophy and say, okay, well, I need the yellow to understand that we are a business and we do need to make money, but I can't degrade their natural personality tendency, which is to love people. So how do I do that? Listen, we love these people and we want to continue to service them and be here to provide for their healthcare needs. And in order to do that, we do have to make sure that while we take care of them, that we're aware of the other patients that we booked and are waiting in line out the door. So we do need to stay on schedule so that everybody that booked an appointment with us today can get seen. Can you help me do that?
Mm-hmm.
You see how you just did that? You just appealed to a yellow in a heartbeat. Can you help me do that?
Mm-hmm. And time is money.
Taylor caught it.
Time is money with what Taylor said too. And so that's another thing that like maybe a red, because Matt is very red, but he's not driven by money. So you may find a red that is driven by money, and then you may find a red that is not driven by money, but time is money. So if somebody wants to have some time freedom because they want to go on vacation and they want to like not work like a Hebrew slave or whatever, then you can talk about that.
Now you're talking to your blues. They want the.
That's really interesting, Matt, that you're red, but you're not necessarily driven by money, but rather leading people.
Yes.
And I think like when I was the store manager of Charlotte Russe, I think I kind of got like the best of both worlds. Like I was able to lead people, but by me hitting my metrics or by me staying like outperforming last year's comps, like all of a sudden I have the potential to bonus $1,500 a month. So what am I going to do? I'm going to work towards that bonus. So I'm like, wait a second, like you just challenged me.
There you go.
I'm going to do it and I'm going to achieve it. And so that's why it's like, okay, you give me a fun prize. I'm like, yes, I'm competitive. So I may work towards that prize. But if you give me a monetary incentive, now I'm definitely doing it.
Yep.
It is interesting how you can be a raise across the board.
Yes. So many reds confuse it and think that it's about the money. And so many people who don't understand reds think it's about the money. And so they think, oh, I'm pitching money to a red in a heartbeat. Here's all the money in your face. Go get it. And the red's like, let's do it. It's not about, for a lot of reds, it's actually not. It's the challenge of achieving the goal. The money is a byproduct of achieving the goal.
It's the adrenaline rush.
Right. That's just it. So it's like one of the best ways to motivate, that I used to motivate reds when I was in the military was to tell them, I understand. Listen, I get it. Some challenges are very scary and you may not want to undertake them. I totally understand where you're coming from. You don't have to do this. I understand it's not in your wheelhouse. Don't worry about it.
Well,
And then all of a sudden they're like, oh, no,
question their ability.
yeah, no, I want to do this thing. What are you doing? Oh, I can totally do this. If you can do it, I can do it. Come on. You know, and then that's the next thing you know.
There you go, Nicole. That's what you got to do.
Yeah.
Challenge them.
Rochelle does this to me all the time. She's like, I understand if you can't, you know.
Fine, honey. I'll just do it.
There's the challenge.
There he is, out the door. Just give it to me.
I'll take
I'm doing it.
She knows me too well. But yeah, so I totally agree. But just, you know, so, and again, that's always a great way. If when all else fails and you've worked through all the key tenets of a red, you know, sometimes the best thing to do is to say, I get it. You know, it's not for everybody. And, you know, maybe this is a challenge that's just not something you want to undertake. And, you know, I think you would be great at it. You definitely have a lot of leadership characteristics. And, you know, we need folks like that in this organization and on our team. So, but I get it. You know, you may not want to do that right now. So I'll just continue to follow up with you, and you just, you know, you let me know when you think you're up to the challenge.
Right. And
the red is going to go to sleep that night, and they're going to toss and turn. They're going to wake up the next morning and be like, what's this Plexus thing? I'm going to go find out what this is. I'm going to do this.
It's like Sonia Dudley said at the Ruby retreat too, where she talked about taking people off your list, you know, and she's like, people don't want to be taken off your list, you know. You tell people you're going through your list and you're taking them off.
Oh,
no, I love these products. I don't want you to take me off the list.
Listen,
no.
They just did this. So in the Plexus Man Cave Facebook page, I think it was Jared Abart, but they just did this. They went in and they said, listen, we're cleaning up the group page. There's a lot of you in here. Some of you are active. Some of you aren't. We're going to go and clean this up. So, you know, if you want to be in here, go ahead and speak up now. If you don't want to be in here, you can speak up now. If you don't speak up, we're going to assume it was the latter that you didn't want to be here. And I'm going to tell you what, that commentary lit up like the 4th of July. And, you know, it's so funny is you could probably tell that the majority of the folks that commented first were what? Were probably the reds going, either the blues going, oh, wait, I'm going to be socially outcast. No. And, you know, or the reds going, oh, no, you're not kicking me out of here. You kidding me? This is my thing here. I'm in here. You can't kick me out. Only I can kick me out. So it's good. This is good conversation and good dialogue around this. But don't be afraid to step into those opportunities. You know, don't shy away from reds. Reds have their advantages. Reds are very business minded. They will do amazing things from a business perspective. You know, same thing with your greens. Don't shy away from your greens. You know, they might drive you blues crazy at times, but don't shy away from your greens, because these are folks that when you go do your sip and sees or your, you know, or you have somebody that's another green that you need to connect with them and you need some kind of third party validation, a green talking to a green is a great thing, because a green is going to help another green understand the pathway towards the business. You know, so don't be afraid to do that. It doesn't mean you have to be a jack of all trades. If you can't do it, make the connection with somebody that can. Let that third party validation do the trick for you.
Yeah. And you can be successful at any color. I mean, I remember Fallon doing a color call with all of her jewels, and it was Jamie was the yellow, Tiffany was the blue, Cody was the red, and Brittany was the green. And so it really doesn't matter. You can definitely be successful at any color. You know, it's just all that mindset, personal growth, IPA, no matter what color you are, and definitely learning how to talk the language to other people.
Yeah. Betty, what do you think you are?
I've been told that I'm red. Can you hear me?
Yep, I can hear you.
Okay. Yeah, I've been told that I'm red, but I think I am yellow and blue.
Okay,
but then again, I'm green. So I guess it just depends on the setting. You know, because like, for example, if you said, okay, Betty, right now, I need you to go run 10 miles. Okay, no problem. I'll go do it.
Yeah.
And I'm very competitive. I will not wait on you. I will go run the 10 miles, go do what I gotta do, and come right back.
Good stuff. But so yeah, you have a dominant.
Yeah, I do. But if I'm at a conference, I will not go out of my way to talk to you. I will literally sit in my chair and not say anything to you.
That's red.
That's red.
That's
Oh,
red.
is it? Oh, okay. So
red's only going to talk to folks. And again, this is just a very, very broad generalization, but a red's only going to talk to folks when they see it as a stepping stone towards whatever the goal is. So if I go to a conference and John Maxwell's the speaker and there's an opportunity to go up and talk to John Maxwell, I'm going to make my way up to talk to John Maxwell. Because why? He's somebody who's already successful. I perceive him as a stepping stone towards my own goals.
Yes.
I'm going to go talk to John Maxwell. But Joe Schmo over here, who has been snoring the whole conference, I have no desire to talk to him, or anybody else for that matter, that is not probably up in the front row sitting there. Not that I've changed a lot of things about me, but that used to be the way I thought. If you were somebody I consider to be in a position of authority or power, or who was on the pathway that I thought I needed to be on, I probably wasn't going to seek you out intentionally to ask you questions or have a conversation with you. She would be the one over there going, "Hey, that person's name is such and such." I'm going, I can't remember these people's names. But I promise you that if I had a meaningful conversation with you and we connected, I won't forget your name.
Okay. So yeah, I'm that way. And I'm about getting things done because the position I'm in, I'm like that. I have people, I've got action trackers, I've got deadlines. I don't need all this information. I just need to know, is it done?
Yep.
Yeah, that's red. That's red.
Sounded kind of red there, Betty.
But at the same time, I'm afraid to talk to people. So unless I can connect with you, if I can connect with you, I can talk to you. But if I can't connect, I'll listen.
Mm-hmm.
So I have that part too, where I like to have fun. So I don't know. It's kind of.
Fallon, she did not have a lot of blue in her at all. Like Tiffany Wilson brought the blue out in her. She was very red, and Tiffany would be dragging her to these places, and Tiffany be talking to everybody, and Fallon's like, oh my gosh. And when we went to convention that first year, first of all, before Plexus, I hadn't seen Fallon in like 12 years. So even though we're cousins, we hadn't seen each other in person in 12 years. And I remember seeing her at convention that first year, and I'm like, what is wrong with her? She don't know how to talk to anybody. She's just standing over here, being all quiet, everything else. That's the red. Like she's just standing there like a diamond, or whatever. And she did not go up and talk to her team and like, hey, it's so nice to meet you, and give you a hug, like hugging. And Brittany would always say, because Brittany's a green, she's not a hugger. People would talk to her about how it was like hugging an ice cube.
Yeah, reds and greens. And I'm
like, hey, I've never met you in my life. How are you? And it's like, the reds are kind of like, oh my gosh, who is this crazy person?
That first convention was crazy, because that's exactly what it was like. If you're a red green, you've never been to convention before, get ready. Everybody, you're surrounded by a bunch of blues and yellows, and everybody likes to hug. And it's like,
yeah.
But it's good. Yeah. So sounds like you got a lot of red there, Betty. That's good though. I mean,
okay.
Good. But don't ever go with what people tell you. I love it that you start. People tell me I'm this, but don't you know yourself better than anybody. Some people, the folks that I've coached that say, well, I can be anything to anyone. I call those chameleons. And and I don't mean that in a good way. That's when it's dangerous. These are people who don't know they've lost their own identity through trying to be something for everybody else.
So they're yellow.
It's I always bring them back to, you are somebody. You have a strength, and again, each of these is a strength. You have a strength that is you. If I were to leave you, and a great way to do this is to, if I were to put you in a room and I put the characteristics up in the four corners of the room, and I said, okay, I want you to take a minute and I want you to look around the four corners of the room. Did this in the military all the time. It was great exercise. And say, look around the room, read the signs, and I want you to just walk towards the one that you, in the back of your mind, you're like, that is really what I gravitate towards. And it was great, because then I would ask the next question is, how many of you are surprised at the sign that you're standing under when you look around the people who are standing under it with you, and they're going, what in the world? I never would have imagined I'd be, standing under a red. I always thought I was more the social butterfly over there. But as you start, and then those breakout groups, they'll learn more about themselves, and they're all realizing, oh, we really do have all this in common. So it was good. If you don't know, as you read this book, just really reflect on it and ask yourself, do I think this really describes me as a common rule? If left to my own demise, is this really my dominant characteristic or personality?
But wouldn't you agree, red people, because I get to a point where sometimes when I hear excuses after, you can come to me, they'll say, oh, well, I noticed you're a runner and I noticed that you eat this way and I noticed blah, blah, blah. So then they'll come to me and I'll give them, okay, this is what we need to do, blah, blah, blah. But then I hear all these excuses. I get to the point where I will tune you out.
Yeah.
I really try to get yellow, and I really try to go, oh, I understand, blah, 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 blah. Then after a while, I'm like, okay, all I hear is excuses. You're wasting my time. I'm still here, but I'm just not going to invest so much.
Does everybody else hear the red? Okay.
So it is. Okay.
Make sure we all hear the red.
Totally hear the red.
That's okay. That's totally red, and that's okay. Now, so the key here is now you know a lot about yourself. So let's say you understand that about yourself. Now we know that as a red, we want to be successful in our business, and we also know that in order to be successful, we have to be able to recruit any personality. So as a red, again, it's about understanding ourselves as much as understanding other people. We want to be able to say, now, I know that it sounds like the yellow is an area I really need to focus on developing. So how do I put on my yellow hat? How do I refine these skills? What are some things I can do daily with the people that I interact with to be a little bit more yellow? And you know when you'll make that connection is when they look at you crazy. When you walk up and say, hey, I know the other day when we were talking, you mentioned such and such and such. How's that going with you? And okay, so what can I do to help you out with that? And they're gonna look at you like you're crazy. And they're gonna what? And then so based on their body language, like you're making the connection with them. They're going, okay, this is not your normal tendency. And so you keep working on becoming a better yellow. How do I become more caring? How do I kind of take off that red hat and put on that yellow hat so that I can be more caring? So the list of characteristics he puts in this book is a great way to do it. I challenge you, if you know that you're not strong in a specific area, like I said, write it down, keep it on an index card next to your phone or your computer, wherever you do your sharing and prospecting. And that way, when you're talking, you're like, once you hear, okay, I think this is a yellow and I know this is not where I'm strong at, start looking at that card.
Okay.
And
I know we've gone over, I think so.
I figured it was going to be at least until 10:30. It's 10:50.
It's Elizabeth's fault.
It's Elizabeth's fault.
We haven't even talked in like a half an hour.
Thank you, Matt.
You brought a coach onto the call. She should have done that.
He was so excited about getting on this call with us. We just had to let him talk because this recording is going to be really good for people to watch. So they'll just have to watch it in increments. Betty said thank you.
You are more than welcome. Glad to help. I'll be on each of these calls the whole time we're doing the book.
He'll be leading next week with Jackie, so that will be exciting. So,
all right. Well, this is such a great resource. It's really, really good to hear the discussion and the insight that we get from Matt and Rochelle, who've done this for a long time. And it's just really good that we can talk to one another too and share, like, well, I'm a yellow, so this is what would appeal to me. And then Taylor sharing, well, I'm a red, this is what appeals to me. The red parts of me aren't as money focused as they are about like making an impact and leading people and helping people reach their goals like that. I mean, that kind of sounds yellow, I guess, but the challenge thing too, like definitely we all have parts of those. Like, hello, I'm a PT. I did undergrad and graduate school in 5.5 years total. You don't just sit there twiddling your thumbs to get there, so it's really good to pull from different parts of our personalities to help us and help our prospects and help our team. So keep up the good work, and there are more resources on the color personalities and stuff like that. Like I mentioned, I'm kind of studying the Enneagrams more than this color personality necessarily. And I've looked up like color personalities before, and like they're different. So like a red would be like our yellow, and a green would be like our blue. And so
that's confusing.
Yeah, well,
on the color as much as the characteristic.
Correct. You have to look at the characteristics, not just Google like color personalities, and then they're like, well, this is a red, and then you're like, wait, our book said a red was this, and this. So look at the descriptions more than the color. And this was an interesting observation too. My friend that I visited in February, she does like HR marketing stuff for a hospital, and what they did with her team is they started putting like a orange like sticker on the orange person's door or whatever, and then she had like, she's a green, so she would have had whatever equivalent to the green would be. And so it made a difference when people would go say like, hey, I need this report done by 3 p.m. If they saw, oh, she's an orange, then they were immediately reminded of like how they could go in there and approach that rather than how they would want to be approached necessarily. So definitely these tools are being used in other aspects, and so it's really cool to see that coming around too. So yes, there's other videos too and recordings from previous book clubs with this same book, and then like I said, I was going to put the Jennifer Leith video in where she describes all 4 in one shot. So it's not very long. I haven't watched it in a long time, but it's not extraordinarily long. So anyway, you guys have a good night. If you have any questions, I would put them in the thread, and we can kind of talk to each other through there too.
Yeah.
Good night.
Thank you, guys.